Hey everyone, Jacqueline and Nathan here, bringing you the top 10 roadblocks to becoming a pilot.
You know, as flight training coordinator, I talk to dozens of potential pilots every day, and they all seem to share the same concerns about actually becoming a pilot. Well, today we're going to dispel some of those myths and bring down some of those roadblocks so that becoming a pilot may actually be even more attainable than you think it is.
Number 10, location.
Here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we have the luxury of being surrounded by a lot of different airports where one can find a lot of different flight schools and instructors. But what about those of you who live in rural areas?
Sometimes it seems like there's not many flight options available for you, and sometimes it doesn't seem like there's any at all.
If you can't find any flight schools within a reasonable distance of your home, look for local aviation chat rooms and communities online. Or find out if there are any small airfields nearby. Go hang out at those airfields and talk to people. Ask them where they trained. Sometimes you'll find a pilot who happens to be a certified flight instructor and is even willing to train you. This actually happens quite often, but you have to seek them out. And ask around, see if anyone knows of any instructors in the area.
If this isn't an option for you, you can always self-study for the ground school and take a trip to a more populated area with a flight school that has an accelerated program.
Some flight schools offer 2-week accelerated private pilot programs. Now, these programs are tough, but we've seen people in accelerated programs that thought they would never become pilots and are now enjoying seeing their aviation dreams come true.
Number 9, age.
I talk to people about flight training every day that are 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, and the story's almost always the same. Nathan, I started my flight training 2 or 3 times, but I never finished, and now it's probably too late for me to get my license. My answer to you is no, it is not too late for you to get your license. There is no age limit on your becoming a pilot.
If anything, now's the perfect time for you to get your license and fly for fun. Your kids are all grown up, you've got your savings, and you're getting closer to retirement. Now's the perfect time to turn those dreams into a reality.
And you can still start a career in aviation even if you're 30 or 40 years old. Trust me, unless health concerns have come along with your age, you're probably not too old to become a pilot. Number 8, health.
And that brings us to another major potential roadblock, health. Now, if you're going to be a sport pilot, it's not necessary that you have a medical certificate. But if you're going to be a private pilot or any other certification past that, you're going to need either a first, second, or third class medical.
So if you had any problems in the past with medical history or on any prescription medications, the FAA wants to know about it. So just do your homework before you come in.
We encourage everyone to go to FAA.gov to make sure that whatever conditions or prescription medications you may be on or have taken in the past are not cause for denial of your medical certificate. Remember, once you're denied your medical certificate, it can be very difficult to get it. Number 7, negative experiences.
Let's say you've had a bad experience with a flight school before. Maybe the staff was unhelpful, it was hard to schedule, or you just didn't mesh well with your flight instructor. It happens sometimes.
Students and instructors have different ways of learning and teaching, and sometimes those ways don't really mesh well with each other, and that's all right. At the end of the day, are you really going to let one bad experience ruin your entire aviation career?
We think not. Get back out there and give it another shot. You might be surprised how it goes. Voice your concerns with the flight school manager and don't be afraid to request a different flight instructor. It happens more often than you think.
Number 6, family reluctance.
Maybe you've always wanted to become a pilot, but a family member or spouse is reluctant to let you fly. One thing we found that helps alleviate that worry is by flying in an aircraft with a BRS parachute.
I personally talked to countless spouses of aspiring pilots, and 9 out of 10 times the parachute is the selling point to get them on board with the training.
At US Sport Aircraft, we like training in the Sport Cruiser. You can get your private pilot certificate while training in an airplane with the extra security of a whole airframe parachute.
And for even more peace of mind, if you have any concerned friends or family members, you can tell them that out of the hundreds of sport cruisers in the United States, not one single parachute has ever needed to be pulled.
Number 5, schedule.
Finding the time to fly can feel overwhelming, especially if you work irregular hours or have kids.
The key for you is a Part 61 flight school. At a Part 61 flight school, it's a little bit more relaxed and you can train at your own pace. Now, whether that means 7 days a week or once a month. If you can't fly during the week, fly on the weekends. If you can't fly during the day, fly at night. The key is to find a flight school with a flexible staff and an online scheduling system.
If you still can't train frequently enough, consider taking a couple weeks off work and clear your schedule for an accelerated program.
Number 4, anxiety.
Anxiety and a fear of flying are actually very common among new pilots. When people start to think about aviation, these are the few of the common things that keep them afraid. First off, we're going to start with nausea. Now, when I became a new pilot, my first 10 flights actually made me nauseous. And this was pretty distressing for me because I'd wanted to be a pilot my whole life. But don't lose heart, because nausea gets better as you continue to fly and get used to the aircraft. The next thing we're going to look at is turbulence. Turbulence scares a lot of people. They think that it's going to cause the airplane to break, something uncomfortable is going to happen to them. But turbulence is all part of simply rough air, and you're going to get used to that rough air as you continue flying even more. The next thing we're going to look at is ATC communications. Now, air traffic control is the guys that not only talk to the general aviation public, which is just little guys in tiny little airplanes, they're also talking to Delta, American, US Air, all the big aircraft. This scares a lot of the general aviation flying public. But remember one thing, ATC is here for you. They are your friend. The next thing we're going to look at is aircraft failures. Engine failures, system failures, avionics failures. Some people have even said to me they're afraid that the wings are going to fall off in mid-flight. You may not think that this is true, but I've heard it 1,000 times. At the end of the day, a lot of these fears are unreasonable.
Take it from someone who has been there. Once you start training and gaining confidence in your flying skills, these other fears and anxieties will fade away, and you can truly start enjoying the magic of aviation. Number 3, self-doubt.
Thinking about becoming a pilot can be exciting, but it can also be nerve-wracking. Many potential aviators get scared away by the idea that they aren't good enough or that they don't have what it takes to become a pilot.
The amount of knowledge required can seem daunting, and it can almost seem like becoming a pilot is unattainable. Some even perceive aviation as a club for an elite group of people. But take it from me. I've seen literally thousands of people from every age group and all walks of life earn their wings. You can do it too. Stop doubting yourself and get it done.
Every single new pilot at some point before they started their flight training felt some level of intimidation towards aviation. Aviation can be very intimidating. Take ATC radio communications, for example. Have you, as a new pilot, ever listened to ATC and not felt completely overwhelmed? If you have, it's very natural. But that's why you flight train.
A good flight school or instructor will make you feel welcome and will have no problem answering any questions you have. Your instructor will provide all the tools and training you need to feel at ease when learning to fly, and yes, even learn to speak fluently on the radios. They're there to help you achieve your goals, so don't be afraid to voice your questions.
Number 2, intimidation.
Aviation can sometimes feel like an elite men's club, and that can be intimidating to prospective pilots. Feeling like you may not belong feeds right into the self-doubt we just talked about.
And to make things worse, once you do muster up the courage to go visit a flight school, many of them feel like a Department of Motor Vehicles office with an unfriendly and unwelcoming staff. And there always seems to be that one guy with 1,500 hours walking around talking about how great he is. Well, I can promise you that not all flight schools feel this way.
Before that 1,500-hour pilot was an arrogant jerk, he was a nervous beginner just starting his training. We all were once.
Every day, aviation is welcoming in men and women from all walks of life who want to fly. Who you are or what you look like has no bearing on your getting that pilot certificate. And finally, number 1, cost.
All right, everyone, here's the big one, cost. Cost is the number one reason by far that people don't go through with flight training. And it's certainly understandable. Flight training can be very expensive, but there are some options out there that can make your flight training experience quite affordable.
Many potential pilots look at the cost as a package. They can't afford to drop $10,000 at once, so they think that they can't afford flight training. But really, most Part 61 schools offer pay-as-you-go options, so you can make your own schedule, go at your own pace, and fly on your own budget.
Many schools and third parties even offer financing options. And at Part 141 flight schools, veterans and current members of the Armed Forces can take advantage of great VA benefits that can pay for most, or in some cases all, of your flight training.
If your goal is to start a career in aviation, it will pay for itself. Think of the cost of getting your flight instructor certification as an investment that costs less than most four-year universities.
Once you can start getting paid to fly, you will start getting paid to fly. In an industry facing such a pilot shortage, job security for a good pilot is at an all-time high. Once you've built more hours while getting paid as a flight instructor, you can get that corporate or airline job of your dreams.
Well, hopefully our list has shown you that you're not alone when it comes to these issues, and in most cases you can overcome these roadblocks on your own.
So what do you think? Did you hear anything that we listed that's been preventing you from becoming a student pilot? Well, if you have, let us know. And if we've missed anything, leave that in the comments.
From U.S. Sport Flight Academy, I'm Jacqueline, and this is Nathan. Take care.